everybody, welcome to my channel. Before I get into everything, please subscribe, like, and share my video. I would really appreciate the support. And you can also follow me on my Instagram handle at rachel.winnter with 2 N's. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna get right into everything and try to give as much information and details as I can. Okay, so I've been diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm stage 3 and I have locally advanced. I was diagnosed early, beginning March, but I didn't find out my stage and the type of cancer until almost the end of March. That being said, me having locally advanced breast cancer means it hasn't spread throughout my entire body, but it has spread to some of my local lymph nodes in the armpit and around the collarbone area into the side of my neck. It also has spread a little bit into the muscle wall area surrounding my breast, but it is just local to that area. It hasn't moved or spread anywhere else. And advanced, it also has the ability to grow and multiply fast. So that being said as well, I have already started my chemo right away. I've done 1 cycle already and I'm about to have my second treatment in literally, I think like 2-3 days, but we'll get into that in like another video. So I'm gonna jump all the way back to January because January is when I found the lump. It was very random. I just happened to be watching a TV show and I decided to stretch out on my left side, kind of like, you know, lying down into my arm, when I felt something in my armpit, like a discomfort. So I sat up, did a self-exam into my armpit, and sure enough, I found a lump. At the time, the lump was about the size of a nickel. So it was pretty small, it wasn't too big. And I wasn't really concerned at the time. I immediately just thought, okay, it's probably nothing. It's probably just a cyst, because I've had cysts before. I had a false alarm back in 2015, 2016, where I did find a couple lumps in my breast. My family doctor had me do a routine ultrasound and a mammogram just to rule it out. And it in fact came back benign, non-cancerous. Was just a couple cysts, and within a couple weeks they disappeared. So I kind of thought, okay, I might be going through the same thing. Nonetheless, I decided to leave it for a good week and a half, just to see if it would, you know, kind of go away on its own. And it didn't. It actually got bigger, pretty much the size. It went from a nickel to the size of a loonie. That was concerning. On top of that, I found another lump about 1 centimeter or so just off from where I found the one in my armpit. That also was a red flag for me. So I decided to call my family doctor to discuss, you know, what was going on. I spoke to a res. They just did an over-the-phone assessment because of everything going on with the pandemic. They weren't taking any inpatients at the time. The resident working spoke to my family doctor. They called me back, and what their diagnosis was that it was a possible infected cyst. So I was to put heat compressions on the area for, you know, several days and kind of see how it goes. Give it like a week or so, and that if it didn't get better, to go to the hospital. So I did all that. I did the heat compressions, and it didn't get better. It actually got bigger. The lump went from the size of a loonie to pretty much the size of a golf ball, and the swelling was substantial. Like when I would lift up my armpit, you could visibly see, you know, the lump. So it started to get very concerning for me. That being said, I started having other little symptoms like chest pain that would spread through all this area and go into like my upper shoulder, arm, into like my elbow, bone area. It was shooting pain to press my chest. It was pain. I started having shooting pain that would like pulsate like through my entire breast. So that became concerning. And then we were into February, and it was the weekend. It was the Friday, the weekend of Valentine's Day weekend, when I experienced the worst chest pain of my life. I was in tears. It was very scary. I thought that I could have possibly been having a heart attack or a stroke, because it was so painful. But I'm stubborn and I didn't want to go to the hospital at the time. I decided to just fight through it and wait it out. Took some Advil. I went to sleep that night with a heating pad. Woke up the next day and I felt better. Had a little bit of discomfort, soreness in the arm area, but overall it went away. But I told myself that I was going to go to the hospital that week, which I did. I went literally a week after that incident with the pain in the chest. They did a chest x-ray, it came back clear. They did routine blood work, it came back clear. Now that doctor ended up doing a exam on my breast, and his diagnosis for me was that it was just fatty breast tissue that had hardened. So he also wasn't concerned. So I already had two diagnoses now. What he was concerned about was the swelling in the armpit and the swelling around that I now had around my collarbone, because he felt it and there was lymph nodes swollen around the collarbone and into my throat. So that same day, I had an ultrasound done in that whole area and my neck area, which came back that there was multiple swollen lymph nodes. So he was concerned and then recommended me to a specialist to have further testing. Now that went into a weekend, so I had to wait a whole weekend. I ended up calling my family doctor during that week, the weekday, like after the weekend, just to touch base with them that, you know, the swelling in the armpit didn't get better. I had new lumps. I even had, you know, the lumps in around the collarbone. So they were concerned and they decided to have me booked in for an ultrasound. So I had the ultrasound within 2 days after talking to them. Did the ultrasound, had to wait for those results for another basically 24 hours, almost 2 days for those. My family doctor called me back and it wasn't good news. They found several masses. There was a new one that had formed in the lower part of my breast, which had a lot of blood flowing to that area, and it was very irregularly shaped, could possibly be cancer, lymphoma. There was a whole bunch of ideas being thrown out there. So nothing at the time was for sure, but it was still very stressful and it was very scary and upsetting for me. But I still tried to like stay positive and hopeful that, you know, it wasn't going in the direction that it seemed to have been going at the time. That being said, my family doctor wanted me to go get further testing, to go to the hospital, do mammogram, possible biopsy. So now I was speaking with the specialist. I had to go in, see the specialist. He did a physical exam and was immediately concerned, and there was a sense of urgency. He wanted me to do a new ultrasound at the hospital plus a mammogram. So I did that. And then when I went back to the exam room to see him again after that was done, they did a biopsy right then and there. It was very upsetting because it just like boom, 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 happened super fast. He didn't want to do a biopsy on the armpit area. He was initially concerned with this, tumor that was in the lower part of my breast. Whatever came up in the mammogram, it was big, it was getting bigger. So the biopsy results took a little bit of time, almost pretty much a week I had to wait, and it was the longest week of my life. It was very stressful, very scary. But I had a lot of, I had people around me who were very supportive and telling me not to worry. It's probably nothing. It's a false alarm. I try to stay positive, bring that positive energy to not be negative and think worst case scenario. And, and I had a lot of friends tell me not to think negative, and it's not cancer. You don't have cancer. You don't have the symptoms, et cetera, et cetera. So I really was trying not to think that. But unfortunately, that week of March, I had to go back in for some stuff, some work to be done. I can't remember what it was. And I saw the specialist, and he gave me the unfortunate news that my biopsy came back and I had breast cancer. Obviously, I blacked out when I got the news. I was inconsolable. 100 things went through my mind. I was thinking worst case scenarios and, you know, my life and oh my goodness and this and like, how am I going to tell people? How am I going to tell, you know, my son, my daughter? It was very upsetting. It was rough. That being said, after being diagnosed, everything happened extremely fast. All the tests, everything. I had a new test literally every single week. My first one was an MRI. So I did the MRI. Then a week after that, I had my bone scan to, you know, make sure that no cancer had spread into my bone. That came back clear. Then I had to wait almost 2 weeks for the CT scan. That was a little frustrating because the CT scan was one of the most crucial scans, because that would tell me my stage, the type of cancer, and if it spread to any organs. So again, that was very hard for me, constantly waiting. Nonetheless, I had the CT scan done and it hadn't spread to any organs. My organs were good. But that is when I found out that I was stage 3 and I had locally advanced. So that result was pretty much the second last week of March. So again, everything happened really fast from January to March. And then I started, I've already started my chemo. So I started, my first treatment was about a week and a half ago, almost two weeks ago, pretty much. So yeah, again, back to, you know, symptoms and stuff. Everybody's different. I think the best advice that I could give to anyone out there who has any concerns or, you know, maybe not sure, just trust yourself, trust your body, listen to your body, you know, and if your doctor says maybe one thing, you know, get a second opinion. It doesn't hurt, because at the end of the day, it's your life, it's your health. You know, for me, like, I started to sense something was wrong as soon as the lumps were getting bigger and more than one started to appear. Plus, I will mention the one that did form underneath the lower part of my breast. It was very irregular and it was rock hard, like rock hard. So that was very concerning for me. Other than that, I never had any other symptoms, no fever, no night sweats, no discharge. But as that tumor got bigger, it did change the texture of my skin. They call it orange peel. And it basically will dimple, like basically what the skin of an orange peel looks like. It won't look that color, it just dimples, like the little holes like that. So I had that. And I still do, because obviously the lump is still there. I will also mention my tumor was quite large. It measured at 5.5 centimeters. Yeah, so within just a matter of like 2-3 weeks, it went from like the size of a quarter to 5.5 centimeters. So that was also red flag, very concerning. But yeah, again, just listen to your body, trust yourself. You will have friends and family be supportive or give their own opinions and advice and stuff, but at the end of the day, the doctors are gonna have all that information, and you also have to listen to yourself. So even for me, something in my gut just wasn't sitting right. No matter what other people were saying around me, I still knew something was very wrong. And yeah, it's been an emotional roller coaster. I'm doing a little better now. You know, every day, I just take it day by day. I still cry. I still go through every emotion. And if you're going to go through those emotions, it's okay. Don't fight it. You know, I've been through every emotion you could possibly think of. I was very angry for many days. I was just so angry. I just in shock. Why me? Why is this happening? You know, sad, scared, fearful of my life. Yeah, you go through everything, but I have a good support system. I have nurses on call if I have any concerns or questions, because again, it is very overwhelming. Google can make you very overwhelmed too. If you start Googling certain things, you get like so much information. You're like bombarded with this, and this person says this, and this one says this, and don't do this, and that. It's a lot. So, you know, just trust yourself, take your time. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I will totally respond. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I hope I can help someone or inspire anybody. That would make me happy. And yeah, I'm not sure if I've left anything out. I hope I haven't, but if I did, I will be making other videos. I'm gonna do another video of my first chemo experience and things I went through and the whole process and stuff like that. I will definitely share more things. So yeah, I hope this was informative and, you know, answered a few questions for anyone out there who's possibly going through what I'm going through or knows someone who's going through it. Okay, so again, please subscribe, like, share, put on the notifications so that you know when I put up more videos. And yeah, I really appreciate you for tuning in and taking the time to watch my video. I know it's a little long because it is very detailed. You know, I didn't want to leave anything out. But yeah, that's it. Thank you. Take care. I will be back, and I hope everyone out there's enjoying the rest of their day or night. And I'll see you soon. Mwah. Bye.